Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Cat's Track. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing this with your friends. Today's episode is with our friend Carolynne Simons. Carolynne was born in Ottawa, Ontario, such a beautiful part of the world. She tells me that she is grateful to be surrounded by people who lead by example, and from what I understand, she does that every day too. They've helped her lay a foundation for being a thinker and doer that is fundamentally optimistic. Carolynne is especially grateful for the coaches and mentors she has had since childhood. She has very little family and therefore holds her friends very close and tries to foster long-standing relationships with them and with business professionals as well. Besides her loved ones, Carolynne is passionate about being a student for life. She has been a passionate athlete since the age of 9 years old and tries to balance that with reading, writing, and music to help ground her energy. Friends, you'll find her full bio attached. Carolynne, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Catherine. I really appreciate this opportunity to sit and chat.
I'm glad. I'm looking forward to it and very much looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Are you ready for the questions we sent you?
I am. Thank you so much. Please go ahead.
Awesome. Okay, number one, the greatest challenge or challenges that you've had in the last year now, almost, right?
Well, this could dovetail into so many different directions, but I'm going to stay in my lane and keep it focused on sport and exercise. And really, it's been finding sustainable practices for people to stay engaged with their exercise. As an athlete myself, I've really tried to bring in some practices and platforms that have really helped me. And therefore, if the client and the community is willing to pivot and go towards online platforms to be able to engage with their exercise, that has been fundamental. And it's not always straightforward. When we look at coaching and when we look at development, self-improvement, it's very much an energy. That's something that translates very much so being one-on-one. That's actually where I spent the most of my time. And so now with facilities being closed and limited, and actually I understand, Catherine, that you are a swimmer, and therefore having some of those places closed really affects the access, also the ability to feel like you can get in and allow your exercise to be a natural part of your day. You know, one of the strategies I try to bring in is make your exercise an appointment, whether it's meeting with someone to become accountable or engaging in an online community where you can stay focused. A lot of those key things that we relied on maybe in the past haven't been there. And so with all of this being said, and not to mention the screen fatigue that I think people are feeling, exercise is that check-in for yourself. And then all of a sudden now we're bringing that into online platforms. So we're getting even more screen engagement. And that has created a different relationship with exercise. And I really do feel that there's a percentage of people who have adapted really well to these practices. And then there's a big amount of drop off just because there maybe wasn't the education there, or there wasn't the ability to learn how to use these platforms effectively. So that's one of the ways to do it. And another thing has been social media influence in exercise. We've seen a big advent in that in the industry. And I've found that there can often be a negative reciprocation with social media if maybe you don't feel comfortable having your exercise broadcasted.
Right.
As an athlete, it's been paramount for, I think, a lot of people to learn how to tune out noise. And also as an ambassador for Multisport Canada, I have watched their race series completely pivot to online.
Right.
And in fact, that has, again, just highlighted maybe the percentage of people who have been great when it comes to learning how to use those tools. But what about the person who needs to get into the gym and really, really depends on that environment that they're in? That is something that has been a huge challenge as well as with regards to racing on the competitive scene. When an organization like Multisport Canada has gone virtual, you know, they're used to hosting events, and these are development programs for athletes. I get to race out there with professionals, and that has given me a world of opportunity. And better yet, it's about the person who's actually coming last through the finish line to be able to stay motivated and say, wow, that's the kind of athlete I really want to look up to, because maybe they've encouraged me to work on areas of my health that I want to be sustainable for life now. And so when we haven't had those events to also engage people, it's really been challenging. So I'm hoping to stand up proud for some of the organizations that have given me the opportunity to race, because it's important that we look at it from the director's standpoint. Putting on events, it's very costly. These costs are done years in advance. As an ambassador, we're to keep people engaged. And so this year, I actually found it important to do a lot of writing and make sure that my voice through COVID was resonating with a positive outcome in terms of, let's not worry about what we're not getting as athletes. Let's focus actually on what we can gain from our fitness during COVID. And some people have also benefited from the break, as well as I've had to recover from a health setback. So it's actually been important for me to stay engaged in a healthy way with making sure I'm also staying in line with my core values. So that would be my answer for that.
Good answer. I've got a question. I know this is off script. I'm just curious. There's people like me, and there's a young man that I swim with. We call him Happy Steven. He's very religious, very spiritual, and we share that in the pool. That is when they take the pool away, they're actually taking my church away. And that's exactly how he felt. So how do you address, like, obviously you're a great coach, you're a great mentor to many. How do you address the people like us that, sure, swimming is a big thing. I love it. It's my most favorite thing to do from a workout perspective. But then there's that spiritual, meditative prayer side that I no longer get. How do I get that?
Oftentimes, when we have to really pivot in our own fitness because something just doesn't become available, the key thing is to pull in your systems. So whether your systems involve swimming as one specific pedigree, another thing to do is develop something like a mindfulness practice, also develop a yoga practice. But if also, to your point about the person or maybe the environment that you're really successful in your training with, it's important to reach out to people and actually do this passively. So what I find important, and great question, because this exists on so many different ways, is find people with the like-minded lifestyle. And even if it's just posting the actual activity that you did with absolutely no information on where you were, how long you did it, but community groups, Facebook is a good one. Strava is a network that you can use that's actually used like a piece of gear to the athlete. And you don't have to be an athlete to use it. It could be a walk. It could be anything. So then you can start to build a framework there where people are maybe showing, wow, you know what? They got in their swim at 9 o'clock today. I want to follow that lead. I'm going to stay engaged. I might get it in and try to book it in for 11 if my facility allows it during this time. That's one way to do it. But also, too, going back to your question about the spiritual practice, I can fully agree and understand that sometimes it's great to learn how to bring that into your own personal practice. So here's your opportunity to actually skill develop, work on breathing technique, things that maybe were specific that you didn't quite address before, because maybe the social aspect of it just give you a different raison d'etre of, being there. So bring it down to your general skills development and see what you can learn from that, and then apply it back to the group when we have that opportunity again.
I love it. Good advice. I knew you'd have something for us.
Well, exercise goes in so many different ways, right?
Yeah,
so it's nice to be able to have a level.
That's awesome, Carolynne. Thank you. How about your top 3 things that you'd like to share with us today?
Well, we're going to dovetail into what you just mentioned about your reason for exercising and what it really gives you value in. And the first thing I'm going to comment about is that exercise doesn't always run on reason. It runs on emotion. And right now, there's a big fear around health. And we really need to approach exercise from an angle of curiosity rather than an area of judgment. Because also, too, if you approach it with curiosity, the key thing I always try to communicate is approach it with curiosity and not based on if you're going to be successful or not. Because that's where the growth happens. We never really truly grow in exercise when things are good. We grow when we scuff our knee and fall down, when we have a terrible event, when we've bonked in practice and we're feeling isolated. Those are the circumstances that often in your fitness and health life really help you get to that next level. And it's the right people and also the right tools and principles around your practice that give you the reason to do this that are not external. So not for the gold medal or maybe the contract. It's the internal reasons that make you keep going. And so there's big parallels between endurance sport and COVID-19. Actually, this is an endurance race. We can't always see the finish line, although we're getting closer. And I strongly believe that it's really important to expand your networks at a time like this when health practices can dovetail into a lot of different ways, because some of them are shut down. So it's about finding, okay, it's a sink or swim world. What are we going to do to pull on the right resources? Because oftentimes crisis can bring danger and opportunity. So that's such a good tool for survival in general. And I just feel that also with expanding your networks, one of the things I've tried to be very careful about is with healthcare programs that I've partnered with. You know, some people have lost their health benefits. So that affects if they are able to go forwards with the practices that they normally engaged in, chiropractic, acupuncture. I've really had to take the lead in allowing someone to help me with my health this year. And so that I can come out of COVID and ask myself, what kind of coach and athlete do I want to be coming out of this? So when we look at people maybe having a sensitivity around their exercise because medical benefits have changed and time and all the turbulence in their schedules, it's so important to really remember too that the finish line to all this is also an adjustment. And it's a powerful thought that we can have as humans, that we can adjust and adapt to anything. And really that is what exercise and fitness athletic life for me is all about as well.
I love it. Thank you. Anything else you want to add in there before you close?
Yeah. Areas of, try to leave as a bit of a legacy is to be scientifically based, but also highly actionable. As a coach and someone who has really gotten to learn the behavioral side of what it takes for people to stay engaged in their health and fitness, bringing that into the space of business has been really foundational in seeing how people have improved executive functioning, their clarity and focus and purpose at work, also how it helps build teams. And that's actually where I would like to take those next steps, is coaching models and learning how to integrate that with how businesses have changed as a result of COVID. And so with some businesses maybe thinning down, why don't we be in a position to strengthen the core of who is there and learning how to readapt as people's practices have maybe changed? And also, when we look at fitness, it can stem into financial wellness, employee wellness. It's your mental and physical ability, but it's also learning how to take your embrace your complexity on what you've also learned through COVID in your exercise, and also bring that into a positive work environment. I think that is a key tool, and having had the privilege to watch organizations and cultures change as a result of fitness, it is so powerful when you see those teams get out there and then they go and perform even better with their bottom line goals. And I'm really proud of that work, and I really hope to learn more myself as well.
What a positive attitude. I knew you would. Carolynne, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Loved your words of wisdom, and thank you for sharing them with us.
Thank you, Catherine. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.
You as well, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too.
Carolynne Simons, check out all the great work that she's doing, and man, what a great coach. Check out that too. All the best to you, and we'll see you on the next time. Bye.